Can you guys see my screen?
Yes, Bharat, we can.
Oh, perfect. So today also, I think I would just start with few basic, and then we will understand how to get the environment access, how things works in the back end, and then little bit about how the F&O environment looks and other things. And probably from tomorrow, we will start doing the actual configuration, right? Or just create legal entity as well today. So, what happens when an environment is deployed, right? The F&O environment, how do users get access to that particular environment, right? So there is like the consultant part, and there is the end user part as well, right? So end user, we are going to give them access. I will show how that part is done from the F&O system. But even before going there, we should have an access to the environment, right? So before we get an access to a particular environment, F&O is a licensed part. So the organization should have a license, and that needs to be assigned to users, and then only you will be able to give access to the F&O environment. Now, all of this activity is taken care by the IT team. Uh, so just to show how things works in the backend, obviously none of these activities is going to be performed by us, but just to understand how the user ID is created and all of that, right? So this is the admin portal. In order to access this, you should have an admin access, and this would not be given to any even the functional users would not have access to this. Okay, so here, not just F&O for that matter, you guys have all experienced, right? So whenever you join an organization, you will get an email ID with a company domain, right? So that domain is something what the organization has purchased as a part of license and subscription. And once a new user join, they go to O365 account in case if it's a Microsoft platform, or it would be the Google Suite if it's the Google form, right? So here, if I go to users, let's say I'll go to active users. In the active users, I can see the list of active users that has been created. So this is not giving an environment specific access. This is just creating a user ID and giving them the license. So let me quickly just create one. I think I have not created for Sonali, so let me just create that. Okay. So let's say I will give username, and if you see here the domain, it is autofilled. So this is domain. It's once you purchase the license, it would be autofilled, so you will not be able to change that. Then comes like automatically create a password and other things. So I will manually create a password and share across, so you guys can use this. Okay. I will share that password once it's done. So once you have this, now let me just click next. So here comes the license part. So all the subscription which is taken by the organization would be here. Now, though we are in the F&O, in the back end, it is still called as X. So you guys need to be aware of this also. The D365 F&O, what we call currently, the previous name of that was the AX. So there was different version like AX7, AX 2012, and different versions, but it was called as AX. Now it is called as F&O, but in the backend for license, but they have still kept it as AX. So I am giving you AX license. Once that is given, let me complete the addition. So right now I have just created a user ID in the tenant. This is the Azure tenant, which is done in the backend. So I have created a user ID tenant, and I have given license access to F&O. Okay. Now this doesn't give any access to this particular environment. If you see here, Sonali will still not be able to access this environment. So first, this user ID will be created for every user. The second part comes is in the Power Platform where user will be deploying the environment. So the deployment of environment is again done by technical team only. So here also where the environment, whoever is going to deploy the environment, right? So he is going to get the access to that particular environment as an admin. So that is how the environment access would be created, the first option. So here I have deployed the F&O environment, and since I deployed from my account, I would directly get an admin access to a particular environment which I am deploying. So here if I go So I have deployed F&O, and how to deploy F&O environment, you don't need to worry. There are a lot of steps for that. So this environment is deployed. Now you can see here, it's a subscription based, right? So you need to purchase the subscription here and then give a license access, and then you have to deploy this particular environment. So once I deploy environment, I will get an access to this particular environment. So till here, it's all backend activity, which you guys don't need to worry. So let's say here, once the environment is deployed, now we will come to our F&O. This is the finance and operation app. So for Ashita, probably you would have not seen, or like yesterday I shared the link, right? So this is our F&O platform. So here, let me just pause from the user active. Let's just understand the basics of this, and then we'll come back to how to add the addition part, right? So before I continue on that, any questions so far?
Hey Bharat, Venki here. One quick question.
Yes, Venki.
Where you are navigating to access the admin center? I mean, user access admin center.
This part or this one? This is the Power Platform, Power Office, the admin portal.
Oh, okay, okay. So when we want to create the new user, we need to go in the Power Platform. That is what you're saying, right?
Yes, and just to add there, right? You will never get an opportunity to work on this. I mean, so far from the organization perspective, I've never worked on this. You will never get an access to this. This, since I have my own environment and my own subscription, I have access to this. Otherwise, we will never get access to this part.
So you mean to say this access? Oh, okay, 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 okay,
This is all done by IT team. There will be a dedicated IT team who will take care of these things.
okay, okay. Any chance to see this environment through URL? I mean, you are going to share the URL to
No,
us?
no, this you guys will not have access. This access is only
Okay,
for
okay.
the admin account which has a license.
Got it,
Anyway, you
Bharat.
don't
Got
need to do anything here. You just need to understand this is where it's created. That's more than enough.
And
it.
Bharat,
Okay,
what is the
okay.
license cost for like a finance user?
It depends on your region. It depends on your tenant ID. It depends on your volume. There are a lot of factors to consider. So per user, let's say it starts around 10 to 15,000 monthly.
10 to 15,000 INR.
Correct. I mean, if it's you're deploying from India, if it's USD, I think it's around 150 or 200 USD
Okay, okay, 150 or 200 USD. Okay, okay,
monthly.
fine.
That's per user cost.
Yeah, yeah, per user cost monthly,
Yeah,
correct.
yeah, yeah. So again, it has, it depends on a lot of factors, but that's around the approximate cost it
Yeah,
charges.
like from there it starts. From 150 it will start. It can go up
Correct.
to 200 and yeah.
Yeah, it
Okay.
goes up to 200. And again, you have licensing now, they've actually changed a bit. It's instead of package, they made it individual.
Okay. Okay.
You can only purchase finance, you can only purchase operation, or you can take both. So in that way, cost also again starts varying.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Right. So there are a lot of things to remember on that part. So these are all the backend activities, and license first. Definitely, once you guys come into F&O, initially it may not be required, but it's good to understand how the licensing part work as well. Okay. Now, let's come back to the F&O. So this is our finance and operation app, right? So here, let me start with this. So the first, you can see the home screen. If you click on the hamburger icon, you come to the home screen. So currently what you're seeing, this is the home screen. So then you have the favorites, like you have a lot of navigation available, right? So let's say there's an account team and they use this vendor a lot. You can see the star button here. You can just add to favorites so they can easily access from here. Then you have this recent form which auto picks based on your recent activity, it will get filled. Then you have the workspace. This is for a quick access. And also, if you go to workspace, currently you can see these tiles here, right? Those are all workspace. So what this workspace does, it gives a quick view of activities. For example, if you want to just know the bank balance, instead of going to a particular bank account, you can just go to this bank management and you can see the balance here. Just a quick view. So that's your workspace. Then comes the module part. So module is arranged alphabetically. It starts from A, I mean, it goes to that. So here you can see, depending upon your access, again, currently as a system admin, I will have access to all. But when we are giving to a specific user, we will give based on role based, which I will cover. So based on that, they will be able to see the modules. So for us, we will be able to see all the modules, and that appears here. So it has finance modules, it has operation modules, tax, and your HR module. Every all the modules that's available is available here. Okay, including the detail and everything. So that's on the navigation part. The another cool thing is, okay, let's first cover this. So this is a legal entity. Another important thing to remember is when one environment can have multiple legal entities, right? That means I can have multiple uh, companies being created in one environment. So you have to make sure you select the right legal entity before doing any activities. So that's one important thing to consider. Then the search part. So let's say I want to open trial balance. Now to open trial balance, like I should go to modules, then I should go to trial balance is part of general ledger. So I'll go to general ledger. Then I will again navigate. So you will go to reports and then I will find the trial balance, right? So instead of going like this, or if I don't know the navigation part, the search button will help us. You just go and type trial balance here. So if you type trial balance, automatically you can see the trial balance will come here. So in this way, you don't need to remember the navigation, or if you don't remember that, you can just go to the search bar. Now you can see on the top, once you come here, you can see the navigation. So next time it will be easy for us to remember. So this I've enabled. I will show how this can be enabled as well, because currently the version that's coming up, you will not be able to see this. So you need to enable that. I'll show that. So then you have the notification center. Any, let's say you have workflow assigned or any other notification, it will pop up here. Then this is for the feedback. So then if you go here, you have the user options. So when I say user option, let's say once a user logs in, you can have few basic setup required. Like you have the color themes. Currently, this is the color. If I don't want, you can change it. You can change the size. Then you have the preferences. Let's say if you have multiple legal entities, when you log in, which is the first legal entity you want the system to pop up, so that you can hear. Then you have the language. Ideally language we don't recommend the users to change, so we would input by whatever region we are implementing, but you have an option user specific, right? They can change the time zone, the format. So these things can be enabled, and then you have the account details. So this we will automatically it's fill it's all it's part of how do you get access thing, right? So that is this. Then you have workflow. Once we cover workflow, so here you can see workflow can be sent via email. That means if you enable, you will get an email notification. Obviously, email setup and everything has to be in place. But here, this is just an option. Then you have Action Center. So here we saw, right, the Action Center. So if you want to receive any notification here, then this has to be enabled. So that will give you the notification. So that's some user options which we will dig late deeply. And another important
Hey,
thing
Bharat,
to yes, Venki.
sorry, Bharat. Uh,
Yeah,
can you tell me again about this email setup? I
we
mean
will
setup workflow options. Is there
we will
any?
cover
What
we
is
will
the
cover that. This is just
okay?
we can do this. There's a lot of steps for that, which we'll cover later, right?
Okay,
When we
okay.
go to workflow, we will.
Not talking about the email setup. This user option you mentioned about the workflow. No, what is the purpose of it? I'm saying
Okay,
here.
so
Yes.
got it. Let's say we are creating an invoice journal, right? So let's say person A creates an invoice journal, and person B should approve. Now, once an A creates an invoice journal, he will submit the workflow. Once the workflow is submitted, now person B will get a notification here when he opens the system. Additionally, he will also get an email telling that person A has submitted the invoice, please approve.
Oh, okay.
That's
Okay.
your email.
So whoever is login as a user, based on the setup, it will, for example, if I log in, you give me this permission as a send notification in email, I will get it, correct? That is
Correct. So
what
you will
you're
get
saying.
it when you're part of that setup. When your
Ah,
name
okay.
is added as part of the email workflow, then if you enable this, then you will get the email.
Okay, Bharat. Okay.
Okay, this is just like high level, whether you want an email to receive or not, that's it. Just by enabling this, you
Okay.
will not receive an email. You need to do a lot of setup. You need to be part of that particular
Oh,
this one. But this is just at a high level. Yes or no, that's it.
okay.
So this is the basic user options which can be used. Another important thing is to understand. So if you go to about here, you will understand which version we are working. When I say version, as I told you, right, Microsoft controls this particular product. So every 6 months currently, before it was 3, now they have made it 6 months. So every 6 months, they will release a new version. When I say new version, some whatever issues they have found, bug fixes, they would have done that, or some performance improvement, or they will add new feature which they are working on from a long time, right? So those things will come into picture based on the product version. So here you can see currently this particular environment is version 40. The current new version is 41, but when we are implementing, we will always be 1 or 2 version behind. We will never implement the latest version because the latest version you never know if it has any bugs or anything, right? So once the latest version come, we have to internally test before pushing it. So that's why when we are implementing to client, it will always be 1 or 2 version behind. We will never go to the latest version to implement directly. So here you will get to know about the version. This is also important. Now if you click on this, check out the latest release plans, right? So before the new version comes into picture, you will have an access to release plan from Microsoft, where you will understand what are the new features that's coming up in the next version and what are the dates it's going to be released. So all the details would be updated here. You obviously have all the modules, so you can select finance. So once you go to this finance, so you will know what is the next date. So if you see here, February 25 has some releases coming up. So there is core financials, right? So you can see here what they're going to be releasing it. So there is security configuration on licensing cost. There you go. So I think in Jan 2025 they are changing the license cost. So which even I have not gone through this. So they keep changing it. So once you kind of this comes up, another important thing from a functional perspective is to constantly be looking around the changes that's going to be done, because when a new feature comes, another important thing is, let's say I'm working on version 40, the client has requested for something which is not there, but Microsoft has a release plan version 41 which is going to come in next 2 3 months, and they're going to include in that particular version. In that case, instead of doing customization, we can wait for 2 3 months and get the new version, right? So it's very important being a functional content consultants to understand what are those new changes coming, and when, because when we're doing technical changes, it includes a lot of cost and a lot of efforts also. Instead, if we wait and push it, we will save a lot of cost and time and other things, right? So that's another important, and also new feature will help us to achieve the business requirement in more better ways. So that's another thing you guys need to focus on. uh, Keeps coming every year, right? So that's how your F&O environment uh, look and feel about it, the UI part. Any questions so far, or anything to add from Sonali, or you guys want to add anything, since you guys worked in F&O as well?
But I think the 42 version is also coming, no, now?
Correct. 41 is currently up. 42 is coming. Yes. I think March it should come in for 42.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay. Now let's come back to how to add the user, right? So the user is created in the backend with a license, but if you want to add any user to particular environment, okay. So before I start this, another important thing is the documentation, right? So one thing is, see, I know you will have access to video, which you can go through whenever you want. But I would really recommend you guys to start preparing your own notes, right? If you want to do it in laptop or you want to physically write, it's up to you. But I would suggest you guys to prepare your own notes, where you can include steps for each activity which we're gonna do. That will help you to remember easily, right? So in that way, one easy step is the task recorder. Okay, so we will go task recorder deep little later, but just to show you, when you enable task recorder, right? So let's say I will go to this task recorder and click create recording. Okay, so here let's say user access. So I want to record the steps how to give user access. Okay, so let's start. Now what this task recorder will do, every step that I do, it will create or it will record those steps. So to add user to particular environment, we go to system admin. In the system administration, go to users and then click on users. So here you will see the list of users who have access to this particular environment. So here, if you want to give new access, either you can go to new or you can import users. So when you want to import users, user has to be created here in the admin portal. Even if you create a new, if that user is not created there, you will still not be able to give the access. So it's easy to do an import user. So click import user. Now you will get the name. So we created Sonali as a new user. So I'll just select Sonali and click import users. So once I click on Sonali and import users, now Sonali has been added to this particular environment. This is only giving access. Now what role she will perform, that I have to manually assign. So now let's select Sonali here. Okay. So for this user ID, you can see here, you don't need to fill the email ID, you don't need to fill the provider. Everything is auto picked if you use the import user option. Now here I have to assign the roles. So click assign roles. As I told you, as a functional consultant, we will get uh, system admin. But when we are giving roles to the actual end users, right? So we should know what activity they are performing, whether it's an accountant, whether it's an APP or AR or whatever activities they're performing, right? So you have to give based on that. And I think someone asked for the license cost, right? You can see license here. One more way of determining what license you need to purchase is here. When you give an access, you can see license, it says this activity requires only finance. For this activity you need team member, right? Now for example, if you want system admin will be full access, it will be more. So you can see system admin, so it is operation license. So you need the operation license because it includes both finance and operation. So like that, when you select a particular role, you can also know what license is required for that particular role. Now add. So that is how you create a user and you assign the roles. Okay. Now with regards to the task record, let's say, so we have done this. Now let me stop. So all the activity that I have done, it's now recorded here. Now I can export as a Word document. You can individually use this, or you guys can create your own document also. So once it's export, now if I go there, obviously little bit of modification is required. So you can just create that and go back here to the Word document and modify as per the requirement. And you can add your own lines, whatever you want, just for your understanding. So this is how user access is done, right? So system admin user, so you can see navigation and all the steps that I have done. So it is recorded in this way. So this is how you can use the task recorder. So that will help you to, document everything, whatever you're doing. So that's on the documentation for the task recorder. But the important thing is to understand how to give access. Any question on this? sure you guys don't have any question on this.
No, Bharat, it's clear.
Okay.
Okay.
So let's say I have given the access here, right? Now the legal entity which was DAT. So initially, if you remember, I told that whichever legal entity I have selected here, you got to perform activity with regards to that legal entity, right? Now, since I have given access where, I mean, when I'm giving access, this was the legal entity. Do you think this user can access other legal entity as well? Let's see if you guys can understand.
No, we have
No.
to give the access to the particular legal entity.
Okay. So now, once I've added user to this environment, right, it will give access to the complete environment, not particular legal entity. So this access is now for all the legal entity. So system admin cannot be restricted to a specific legal entity. It is for all the legal entities. However, there is one more option how we can restrict to a specific legal entity. When a user is created here, not the other activities, but the user addition, it is for all the legal entities. But if you want to post a transaction, you can see there's a person here. This person has to be assigned. When we create a person, so there we restrict to a specific legal entity and assign here. So in that way, that person can post only to that particular legal entity. Okay. Now here I have not assigned anything for Sonali. So let's say if she wants to post transactions, specifically on the AP and other thing, we have to create a person. Now once this person is assigned, you cannot edit, you cannot change it. So you need to be very careful in assigning the right person. So to create a person, let me just duplicate this task. Now this is HR part actually. Maybe you have done this already as being the HR consultant.
Yeah, Bharat, I have done. I've done end-to-end implementations of
Yeah,
the
yeah.
HR. Yeah.
So you would know this, right? So we will go here, human resource, then go to workers. So here you have to create an employment. And when I create an employment, I will give access to specific legal entity, and through that we can control it. So click new. So you have a lot of details. We are anyway not going to look into those things because we just need to look at giving access part. Employment start date, I will give today's date so that access from today. So the other things which we don't need to worry, it's all part of the HR, which we don't need to worry on this. Just click hire. So now I have done for legal entity DAT. If you need to add more legal entities, so here there is an employment history. So here you can click new and you can add companies. Okay, so for now I've just selected this. So let's go back. Okay, it's here. Edit. Now I will assign the person. Uh,
Hey Bharat, what is the difference between user and worker?
One second. Let
Yeah.
me come. So this user, what you have created here, no, it is to access. Whereas this person is to maintain your employment history. So when you
Mhm.
post a transaction, the person, whatever you see here, right, that is what you're gonna see. This is just the user ID to access. So that's
So worker is the mandate before creating the user. Is it the
how,
right?
not before creating user ID. You can, I mean, either wise, for you to post a transaction, person is required. Even when you have the workflow approval or other things,
Mhm.
person is required. You can add only user ID to access, but when it comes to posting transaction, person comes into picture.
Okay.
And here also you have a lot of roles to do. I think we will go to security configuration module, then we will cover a lot of options available in order to modify that, which we will cover. I'm just showing at a high level how do you get an access to environment. So this is how we.
Bharat,
Yes, please.
as you have created a person as a Sonal,
Hmm.
So now she can access only DAT company or other company as well
She can access all the companies because I have given system.
until the system admin
Huh.
role.
So
Okay.
I am not restricted to any specific legal entity. So if
Okay.
you want to restrict, there are options for that, which we'll cover when we go there. So this is we have so far now covered all the basics, and we now know how to get a license. Any question before I start with creating legal entity? Probably today we'll create legal entity, and tomorrow we will start with our finance setup. Okay, so now, um, what is legal entity? So basically, any company which is registered, right? We call that as the legal entity, or we create that company as a legal entity within this environment. So to create legal entity, now you go to organization and administration. Okay. So here you can see organization, legal entity. You have operating units, which is under legal entity. So we will cover operating units and other things later. The first part is the legal entity. So organization and administration, organizations, legal entities. So this is where you create legal entity. These things. So there are few things to remember when you create legal entity, right? So first, let's say click new. Now, first is the name. Can anyone give me any name, any random name? I've already created a lot, so I'm out of names.
Alex. Alex.
Alex, okay. So this would be the name. Now here you can see company. This is a 4-digit alphanumeric. So you can include only 4-digit and it's an alphanumeric. So it's up to you how do you want to design this. So it can be Alex. I can select that, which is 4-digit, or you can also add the numericals to it. And then country or region. So this is another important thing. So when you are implementing a project, if that particular legal entity is registered in a particular country, that country has to be selected here. So let's say we will select US. Okay. So that's how you create legal entity. Just name, company code, 4 digits alphabet code, and the country. Just three basic information is required in order to create. But once you use those three information and create, now there are a lot of other things that needs to be added. Okay, so let's first pick which are important ones, and then we will cover the other ones. So once you create this, you can see language here. So this is very important to update because if you don't update language here, then let's say when you create a vendor page, vendor we will create. Now when you're creating PO, you will get an error telling vendor language is missing. Similarly for customer, and similarly for fixed assets. And if you don't fill here, it's possible user might mess it up. They might create English in some page, English UK, and English the other part as a different. There are different Englishes available. So then what happens? Your reporting will get messed up technically, right? So that's why it's important to fill the language. So let's go and select the applicable language. So you can select, let's say English India. So I will add it. So that's one information to fill. And another important information when you create legal entity is the localized functionality region. Now this is the most important thing to remember when we create legal entity. So what is this localized functionality? Any idea, any guess from anyone? What it could be? The localized functionality region. Now that you know,
Maybe it is about the tax and all.
correct.
Like according to the country, we can select the tax,
Yeah, there are
localizing
some
according to the
features
region.
which get enabled as per the country, as per the localization. So, in order to enable them, you should select this, right?
Exactly, that's what it is. So as we know, as we discussed yesterday, right? In India, let's say it's GST, but if you go for Dubai or even the European country, it is sales tax. So now how does my environment understand which tax system it has to provide for this legal entity? So that is based on the localized functionality region. So by default, it is always detect using company address. Company address is nothing but which we have already filled, like USA. So now this is how system understand. This is the localized functionality it is going to. When I say localized functionality, all the modules will be loaded based on that. For example, let's just to understand. So currently what I have done, I have selected detect using company address, which is nothing but US. So now if you go for a navigation, let's say tax as an example. Okay. So let's say go to tax. Okay. So here, if you go to setup, you can see there is sales tax, foreign trade, tax configuration, other setup. So now, just to understand, now this ideally should not be changed once we start using. So right now, since I have not posted any transaction or anything, I will just go ahead and change it. Let's say we will select India. Same. Now I'm not refreshing the other tab. So this part is US still, right? Now let's come back. Same legal entity. I have changed it to India localization. Now let me open the same navigation, which we have done for the other entity. So the other localization. So now if you go to the same navigation, you will see slight difference in this app. So I'm taking tax just to show, not just tax, all the other models, wherever the feature differs, it will change. So now if you see here, there's a withholding tax on this customs, which is not available here because though both are same legal entity, in this case, I have not refreshed. So here, this is how it works for US. So US, you don't have any withholding tax. Whereas in India, we have withholding tax, right? So like this, each country has their own specifics. Majoritarily, it's going to be on the tax part, but not just tax part, even on the other things, there are few functionality changes. So that's why this is what it determines, and this is very important. And always we will keep detect using company address, because let's say if a company is registered in US, they should follow US functionality, US localization. They cannot be following the Indian localization, right? Or vice versa. So that's why it's always going to be localized functionality region. Sometimes if my localization is not available, let's say, if you can see here, it's not that all the countries are available. There are few countries which is not available, mostly on the African continent. There are few countries which is not available. So in that case, what you have to do, you have to select whichever is close to that particular country, right? So you have to analyze that, select that particular option here, and obviously few things, if it's not available because there is no localization available, you need to go for customization. That's also important. So first, when you get a project, it would be done, even the initial level, when you know at the proposal stage only it will be determined. But you might get a questions from even the PM, project managers or something, is whether a particular localization is available. So that you can check here. It's not that all the countries there. There are a lot of countries which is not available. So majority of the country which is using F&O, that you can see here, but there will be countries where you will not see, and that's when custom. In that cases, the customization will be more for that particular project. So this is very important to determine even the costing part. Okay, so that is very important to remember when we create legal entity. Then scroll down the address part. Okay, so if you go to more options, you can set defaults. When you have multiple, or click on advanced, you can add more details. I've just given USA as an example, but once you come here, now you can fill the street, city, state, country, primary. You can see this now. Specifically for legal entity address, this primary is important. When you enable primary, you can have only one address to be enabled as primary. And once a primary address is enabled, you cannot change the primary address in the front end. Okay. So why this is important? Because when you generate any internal documents, right, all the places wherever you need company address, system is going to pick from the legal entity where the primary is set to yes. So that's why this address is very important. it has to be properly updated. Street, seat, everything has to be updated. And primary will by default for the first address, it will be enabled. So this will be the address that system is going to pick for all your internal documents. Okay. So there is a purpose. I will come to that, how this purpose works. But this primary is important in initial. Then you have the registration ID. Here you have the once you register the company, you will get the registration number and that. So those information you can update here. This here it doesn't make much of a difference, but for India, GST number is very important. So if you go to this registration IDs, here you will have tax information again. So for India, you will see GST number will come. So that you have to update here, because again, not just getting the company address, we would also want registration ID to be picked for all the internal documents. That's going to be picked from here. So that's another important thing to remember. Okay, that's about the address. Then you have the contact information. You can just add the primary email address and the phone number and other details. Then all this information which you see here, it's all information perspective. It's not functionality. It's not like statutory reporting and uploading and the, it's only information perspective that you're going to update here. Your bank account information. Anyway, we have bank module where we will cover how bank account is created and all of that. Let's say as a company, you have multiple bank account. So you would want to select one bank account, which is kind of a primary bank account, where you want to reflect that account in your reports, right? So then you can select that. So currently you can say everything will be blank because we have to create the bank account. So then you can come back here and add that. So once we cover cash and bank management module, you will understand how the bank account is created, which you can add here. So that's your bank account details. Then you have number sequence. Anyway, we will cover next. It will also auto update dashboard image. So when you go to home screen, you can see a particular image, right? That is picked from here. It will be default. If you don't want, you can select company logo, right? And you can add the company logo. So once you add a company logo here, the company logo will reflect in the initial screen. So currently I'm keeping it at default. Then you have report company logo image. So as the name suggests, if you add any image here, now again, this is mainly for the technical consultants. When we have a report, I want my company logo to be printed in the report. So that logo is going to be fetched from here. So that's why this is the report company logo image and your tax information. So once your entity is registered for tax purpose, so you will have few tax information available in terms of PAN information, so company registered information, right? So those informations can be updated here. As you, so this is all information perspective. The important thing to remember is this localized functionality. Don't miss to update the language and the address. Then the image part, because that would be used for the technical consultants. You can see the number sequence, which we will cover next. So currently you can see number sequence, it will be blank, right? So you can see all the number sequences blank. It will auto update. I will show what is number sequence, how it is. So yeah, that's how we create legal entity in F&O. So now once I create legal entity, you can see it is updated here. So next, when I log in, I make sure I go to this particular legal entity and do all the changes that is required, or all the setup. We're going to start from that particular legal entity. So we have created legal entity. Any question on this legal entity creation?
Bharat, Venki here. You mentioned about the localization, correct? You have created, for example, Alex not able to have two things at a one time, correct? For example, USA as well as India, correct? We need
Correct.
to we need to create other one, not a same Alex, correct? Other Alex
Correct. It
zero
will.
one something.
Correct.
Okay,
Yes.
okay, got it.
I mean, see, when you have, let's forget F&O, right? If you have a business in US, now if you want to
Ah,
open a business in India, you have to register in India. Only then you can open in India, correct? So when
No,
you
the thing is,
registered,
Tata Consultancy in India, Tata Consultancy in USA, same name, but it will not
right?
be having the same name
See,
in F&O, right?
correct. It is the same name for us to hear. But if you think legal perspective, they would be registered in both in India and US. They cannot operate in US without registering in US. They have to
Yeah,
register in US, right?
got it,
So that
got it.
registration we have to create here for USA localization.
Hmm. Okay, because you have opened a two window, no? That is because F&O, whatever you type it, it automatically saves. So
Correct. It
how it?
automatically says it will not allow duplicate, by the way.
That's why I'm asking. Okay,
If you try to create Alex again, any duplication it will not allow.
got it, got it.
It will
Okay.
restrict, right? And I mean, so when we implement globally, right? Obviously, the name would be same, but the this we call it as company code, right? It changes for every legal entity,
Okay, okay.
and it's
Hmm.
the same in all the ERP. Whether you use F&O, whether you use SAP, any ERP, that is how it is.
Got it, Bharat. Yeah.
Any other questions? Okay. If no questions, then we can wind up for today. And just to add, guys, you guys will get an access, right? Create your own legal entity, whichever region you want, and you practice there. Please don't do make any changes to this because this we will use for this session. So I need this to be available as it is to create. You guys can create your own legal entity and practice in that. Okay. Okay, guys. Thanks everyone. Let's catch up tomorrow.
Thank you, thank you,
Thank you.
thank you.